We'll visit the largest HO layout in the world. It has more than 450 trains with 7,000 cars. It's completely computer controlled with over 5,000 trees and 20,000 feet of track. Where do we have to go to see this? Hamburg, Germany.
Hamburg, Germany is a beautiful harbor city with a history that reaches back centuries. It is a thriving metropolis, Germany's second largest city, its busiest port and one of the country's major industrial and cultural centers. It's also home to the largest model railroad layout in the world. Hamburg's miniature Wonderland is so large and so impressive that it's almost unbelievable. It's a for-profit, open-to-the-public display which has only been operating since the year 2001. It was born in the heart and the mind of Freddie Brown, who loved model railroading as a child and came up with this idea as an adult while on vacation in Zurich in the late 1990s.
I used to spend my holidays in Zurich and walk through the small back streets. I came across a small model railroad shop. I still don't know why I went into that shop at that moment. Just 5 minutes after I had seen all the little trains in the shop, I had the idea to build the biggest model railroad in the world. Immediately I called my brother and told him that I wanted to build the biggest model railroad in the world. He laughed at me and asked if maybe it was too hot in Zurich, and he wondered if maybe I had sunstroke. He didn't believe that I was serious and that I meant business. So I called him 3 or 4 more times. After the 4th call, he realized I wasn't joking. So he started to think about the idea and wondered if maybe we could really do such a project.
So the Browns went to work. They rented space in an old coffee warehouse in Hamburg's historic Speicherstadt, which was once the world's largest warehouse complex. In less than a year, dozens of designers and builders turned the old warehouse into what is now one of Hamburg's major tourist attractions. And it just keeps getting bigger. Time invested so far, more than 150,000 hours. Money invested so far, €4.5 million, or nearly $6 million. The layout is divided into different sections. There's Hamburg, of course. There are the Alps. There are fictional towns and real towns. There's even an American section which includes landmarks and lifestyles from Mount Rushmore to Las Vegas, from the Rocky Mountains to the Miami Heat. Listen to these numbers. An HO layout spread out over 20,000 plus square feet. 500 trains, 2,300 structures and bridges, 10,000 vehicles, 50,000 trees, 60,000 figures. And the mechanics are as impressive as the visuals. Science is as evident as art. Technology is front and center. Every 15 minutes, the layout cycles through a complete day. The sun goes down and the lights go on. The cars have implanted microprocessors which allow them to stop and start on their own. A car can slow down or speed up. Oh, and if it's running low on energy, it automatically goes to get recharged.
Es war eigentlich noch gar nicht am Anfang gedacht mit Lampen und mit Feuerwehrautos. Das kam eigentlich erst mit
It was my dream to have the vehicles that run on the layout controlled by a computer. I wasn't thinking about lights and fire cars. That came later. When we found out we could transfer the data to the vehicles, then we developed all the ideas and functions that we have in place today. The data transfer to the vehicles is simple. It works with magnetic fields and wires built into the roads. That means the vehicles get the data through a contact between the vehicle and the road. The PC always is measuring the speed of the vehicles. If the PC recognizes that the vehicle is running too slow, it sends the vehicle to the charging station. That's where the charge ports close and the vehicle is charged. We have 5 special PC software programs for this layout. One is a standard software program which was adapted to our needs. It's called Railware, and this operates and controls the trains. I've written the rest of the software used for controlling the vehicles, the ships, and for the lights. The lights simulate day, evening, night, and morning. There are more than 100,000 lamps on the layout. It took 2 years to do this. Today, I'm very happy that all the software works without any problems.
Well, most important are the computers for us, because they virtually run the complete layout. All we do in the morning is just switch the computers on, and the train operators click all the trains on. From that point on, the software runs the trains. It's quite a clever part of software, or clever piece of software, better say, because it knows all its trains and it runs them on a random basis. So we never have the same series of trains in a given amount of time. And this keeps the layout from being boring.
Now, it's difficult to comprehend how such a tremendous layout could get any bigger or better, but that is exactly what's happening. There are still expansion projects in the works, as well as plans and dreams. There's a Scandinavian waterfront area, which, when complete, will be about the size of a 3-bedroom flat with dozens of computer-controlled ships and tons of water.
After that, I think we move on to Switzerland, so a bit further down south. But nonetheless, pretty cool, because we will have the Swiss Alps. Again, a highlight, because they will be a bit higher than normal, covering 2 stories. We'll rip out a big chunk of our floor, about 100 square meters, leaving a gallery around the room where people actually can walk through the Alps.
Most of our visitors spend about 2 or 3 hours here. Most of the guests don't really expect anything. We are so happy if they look closely at all the details and if you see a big smile on their face. We want them to leave the exhibit with a very happy feeling and with a great deal of satisfaction. If I look at them when they're leaving and they have big smiles on their faces, this makes me really happy, because then I know that they like the layout.
Miniature Wonderland is a full-scale fantasy that the train-loving public has embraced. It is ingenuity and creativity. It is the biggest, and it is the best.